Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking Brian Tracy's core thesis on productivity from his incredible book, Time Power. At its heart is this really radical idea. Time management isn't actually just about organizing your calendar. It's fundamentally life management. The way you treat your time is exactly the way you treat your life. So if you're a professional looking to seriously maximize your output and finally reclaim your schedule, let's dive right into this.
So, let me ask you, are you suffering from time poverty? Look, in our modern, hyper-connected world, this is pretty much the primary affliction for most of us. We've got ambition, we've got resources, but we feel utterly bankrupted when it comes to time. We simply have way too much to do and nowhere near enough hours in the day to actually do it. That feeling of being totally overwhelmed by constant distraction, that's exactly what we're going to dismantle today. Now, the math behind this is absolutely fascinating. 500. Tracy argues that by applying the right techniques, you can easily find just 2 extra productive hours a day. Seriously, just 2 hours. But multiply that by a standard 5-day work week, and over a year, that yields an incredible 500 extra hours. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of more than 12 40-hour work weeks. By just getting slightly more focused every day, you're essentially gifting yourself 3 extra months of productivity every single year. Just imagine what you could accomplish with that.
Okay, to reclaim those 500 hours, here's our roadmap. We'll cover 1. Time is life management. 2. Setting your strategic goals. 3. Establishing your highest priorities. 4. Execution and overcoming procrastination. And 5. The philosophy of time. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Time is Life Management, specifically looking at the inner game of time. It really all starts with your psychology, right? Taking control of your own destiny. Psychologists talk about this concept of an internal locus of control. It's that feeling that you're in charge of your own life rather than just being a victim of circumstance. And mastering your time is the absolute fastest way to build that control. This captures the philosophical bedrock of Tracy's approach, using Benjamin Franklin's wisdom. Do you love life? Then do not squander time, for that's the stuff that life is made of. When you allow your time to be wasted by idle gossip, endless scrolling, or poor planning, your actions are actually contradicting your values. Valuing your time is for sure synonymous with valuing your actual life.
To make this super practical, Tracy introduces this brilliant mental model, the personal factory. I want you to view yourself as a production unit. A factory has inputs, like time, money, and labor, which generate activities. But the ultimate goal is always the output. Average performers get totally obsessed with the inputs and activities. They think spending 6 hours frantically replying to emails means they're being productive. Top performers, however, they focus obsessively on the final outputs. They act like a factory, constantly asking themselves, what results am I actually expected to produce here?
Moving right along to Section 2, Setting your strategic goals and developing absolute clarity.
So why do we need that absolute clarity? Well, because the biggest time waster in the world isn't social media, it's simply forgetting what you set out to do in the first place. Writing down specific goals literally activates your superconscious mind. Interestingly, only 3% of people actually have clear, written goals. If you want to join that elite group today, try Tracy's quick list method. Grab a piece of paper right now and give yourself exactly 30 seconds to write down your 3 most important goals in life. By artificially constraining the time, your subconscious completely bypasses all the overthinking and delivers accurate answers instantly.
Once you know exactly what you want, Tracy outlines these 5 actionable steps to program it into reality. First, determine the exact goal. Second, write it in the present tense. So I earn this amount, not I will earn. Third, set a crystal clear deadline to create a forcing function. Fourth, make a priority list of the steps required. And finally, number 5, take daily action. Even if it's just one tiny thing, ensure every single day moves you closer to those strategic targets.
Okay, Section 3, establishing your highest priorities. This is all about separating the signal from the noise.
To pull this off, you need what's called zero-based thinking, basically asking yourself if you'd start a task today knowing what you know now. This sharply contrasts tasks that demand attention with tasks that actually matter. Urgent tasks are, well, they're in your face, a ringing phone, a pinging Slack message. They're usually driven by someone else's priorities. Important tasks, on the other hand, have high future consequences. The word consequences is literally your compass here. If a task has major future consequences, it's important. If it doesn't, it is a relative waste of your time, no matter how terribly urgent it feels in the moment. It turns out, A tiny 20% slice of your activities generates a massive 80% of your success and rewards. This is the famed 80-20 rule, or Pareto principle, in action. Before you begin any work, you have to ask yourself, is this task in the top 20% of my activities or the bottom 80%? The key takeaway? Never let the things that matter most be at the mercy of the things that matter least.
To actually enforce this, try the ABCDE method before you even start your day. Categorize every single task. A tasks are things you absolutely must do. If you fail, there are severe consequences. B tasks are things you should do but with only mild consequences. C tasks are nice to do, like checking the news or reorganizing your already organized desk. D is for delegate, and E is for eliminate. The absolute golden rule of time power: never ever do a B task when an A task is sitting there left undone.
Which brings us to Section 4, execution and overcoming procrastination. Basically, getting things done. We all know procrastination is universally the thief of time. To combat the friction of actually starting your A tasks, Tracy provides these specific tactics. First, develop a reputation for speed. Be the person who just moves fast. Next, gather all your materials before you start so you aren't tempted to get up and wander around. Break large, intimidating tasks into smaller, bite-sized steps. Practice single handling, meaning once you pick up a task, you do not put it down until it is 100% complete. And hey, if you feel yourself hesitating, aggressively repeat the mantra out loud, do it now, do it now, do it now. This builds a tremendous sense of urgency, practically forcing you into a state of flow.
While you're executing, keep the limiting step principle in mind. Ask yourself what single constraint is holding you back. Between you and literally any goal, there is a bottleneck that dictates your speed. Interestingly, Tracy points out that 80% of the time, that constraint is internal. It's a lack of a specific skill or a bad habit of yours, not some external factor. Focusing all your energy on removing that one block accelerates everything else in your life.
Finally, let's zoom back out for Section 5, the philosophy of time. Let's take the lifelong view.
You know, highly successful people always operate with long time horizons. As Tracy notes, the long view sharpens the short view. It's like if you know you're climbing a massive mountain, you occasionally have to stop, look up at the distant summit, and make absolutely sure your immediate next footsteps are actually pointed in the right direction. Looking years ahead instantly clarifies exactly what you should and shouldn't be doing today.
But here is a truly crucial distinction Tracy makes. There is a hard line between the efficient time required at work and the abundant time required to nurture relationships. Honestly, there is no such thing as an efficient family life. Work requires quality time, intense focus, priority, drive. But family and loved ones, they require quantity time. You simply cannot rush connection. You use time management at work precisely so you can afford to completely turn the clock off when you're at home.
To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative thought. How would you spend your time if you only had 6 months left to live? Seriously, would you still be agonizing over the same minor day-to-day frustrations? Would you still be putting off that massive life-changing goal? Time is completely irreplaceable. You can always make another dollar, but there's no way you can make another minute. So, how will you spend the irreplaceable currency of your time, starting today?